Okay, I accidentally hit the wrong button. I apologize. So again, I wanted to talk about real quick tips, no real kind of formal show, but I had the opportunity to do a presentation a couple days ago on cover letters, and I wanted to share some important points for everyone when it comes to your cover letter. And the number one point is that when you submit your resume, it is so important to not only submit your resume, but submit that cover letter. Cover letters are so important because of the fact that it is like being in person, especially if you're doing a virtual interview or you're doing a virtual meeting in some capacity. You want to introduce yourself prior to actually going live with the broadcast or the live virtual interview, etc. And so, therefore, you want to send an a cover letter that kind of introduces yourself as if you were in person. So you pretty much want that cover letter to be detailed. And typically, cover letters have been like maybe one or two paragraphs, just like a brief introduction. But I have to tell you, everything has changed with the 21st century procedures in order to get that job. It's so different now, and the cover letter actually has more importance, or is as important as the actual resume. And so let me just give you a couple of tips of the cover letter formula. So especially when you're going after remote work, that's what I want to really stress, because remote work, oh, I just want everybody who is seeking part-time additional employment or full-time employment, you gotta look into the virtual world of remote work. It is booming. Statistics show that it's here to stay. One thing about the pandemic is that this virtual world got blasted on, and companies are finding that this whole entire virtual online internet, whatever you want to call it, process is not only cost savings, but it also gets better results than in person. There's always some distractions when you're doing in person: traffic, um, delays, all kinds of issues that may prevent the actual activity or the meeting from starting on time. And so, with the virtual world, two couple clicks, you're in. Everybody's there, everybody gets started. The person is late, unfortunately, loses out tremendously. So, definitely, just focus on trying to get as much virtual work as you possibly can, because it is not only profitable for you, but it's also just so easy. So let's talk about the tips. So with your cover letter, I'm going to give you a formula. Definitely, if you don't have any remote work experience, you need to get remote work experience. I don't care if you're in person or you are a person that is looking for virtual work. Um, you definitely like being home. Even if you want to get that job that's in person, you need to have some virtual work skills, virtual or remote work skills. You have to have that skill set, and that needs to be on your resume. That needs to be the very first kind of entry, because of the fact that even though you may be working in person in that office, your company may be doing business remotely to get customers or new projects or new contracts. So you have to be versed in both areas, not only the virtual world as well as the in person. And definitely in that cover letter, whatever they have advertised for that job description, you have to include those specific keywords and skill sets in a summary format in your cover letter. I cannot tell you how important it is for that cover letter to include those details. So the first thing you want to do when you're applying for a job is to really just, get the job description, download it, print it, and use that as your checklist for developing your resume as well as that cover letter. So important. That is the most important concept that you need to adapt in today's 21st century workforce. You got to match your resume and your cover letter to that job description. Once you figure out what's on the job description, you got to highlight those areas that you have the specific qualifications to do. So when you print it out, that's an easy way to just highlight everything that you know that you have that they're asking for. And you want to kind of, this is the second tip, whatever the values you have compared to the company's mission statement or the description of the job, you want to kind of match those values to what you say in your cover letter. And you want to answer a few questions. Specifically, whatever it is that they're asking that you are able to do, you want to make sure that you highlight just those specific areas that they're asking you have the qualifications for in that cover letter. Don't go off into Everland talking about what you did, which was great on your previous job. You only want to talk about the things that they're asking you to have the qualifications for and experience for. That's all you want to put in that cover letter. Totally important. Now, the last tip I want to give you, and then I'm going to be off because I don't want to, I just want to kind of do like 10-minute tips, our 10-minute tips. The last thing I want to talk about is to not only develop and draft your cover letter in writing using Google Docs. We all know about Google Docs. Google Docs is a free word processing software, and you don't have to spend any money. All you have to do is have a free Google Gmail account. Once you create that Gmail account, you can easily go into your account and then click on the Google Docs. And you, not only is Google Docs great, but it also provides you with, I think, resume ready templates. Now, these templates that they give you, it's about 10 or 12 of them when you first sign on. They are ATS ready. If you don't know what ATS means, it's a computer system that actually reviews all the entries and it picks out what specifically they're looking for that particular job, and anyone that doesn't kind of meet that criteria, it ends up kicking you out. So you definitely, it's not like the good old days when you would just put a resume in and people would take the time to take a look at your resume individually. People are not looking at it. It's a computer that's looking at it. It's a computer that's evaluating it and seeing if you actually meet a certain criteria. And if you don't in that cover letter or that resume, it gets kicked out and they go on to the next, because as of today's economy, people are applying for jobs in enormous large amounts. And so therefore you need to make sure that your resume actually gets the second look. So it passes the ATS system and it gets to a real person that may or may not be programmed to look for certain things as well, and maybe get you to the next level, which is an interview. So there's a couple exercises that I want you to follow. I already gave you one. Definitely print out the the job description of what they're looking for. Print that out. Highlight the areas that really you have strong experience and knowledge in. Number 2 is take that exact job description or the job title, go on to an Indeed.com website or any one of the websites that you use for job search, and put in that name of the job and see what jobs are available for that particular job, and see what the job description is for those particular jobs. And once you do that, you'll be able to compare the requirements for the job from different companies, and you'll also be able to see exactly what credentials that are common among the different positions that are available for that same exact job. So that's number 2 tip, or number 2 exercise. do the research and find out what they're looking for. And then instead of using just the job application or job description that was presented in front of you, you'll see what other companies that are looking for the same title are asking for as well. And you may want to put something in your cover letter that they may have forgotten to put in the job description, but yet you're talking about this skill in your cover letter, which will, wow, okay, that's something we needed. We didn't mention it, but yet this person's on top of it. And I can't tell you how important it is to not only be able to shine in this world of work today, but you got to stand out. And the last exercise I'm going to give you is, or actually tip that I'm going to give you is the salutation. So when you open up the or start the cover letter, do not use "to whom it may concern." Whoever is posting that job, if it's the title is a hiring team or hiring manager, HR manager, that's who you set the tone with in your cover letter. So you would, for example, say, "Dear hiring manager," "Dear HR manager," etc., and then go through your specific qualifications for that specific job description that you've already downloaded. And one of the ways that you can actually practice in between the cover letter and the submission of your resume is to start practicing creating your elevator pitch. Now, elevator pitch is something that people tend to recommend if you're on the spot in person meeting somebody. You can articulate who you are and what you do. But the reason I'm recommending that you actually create your elevator pitch is in preparation for your interview. So when they get on the virtual interview and introduce themselves, you need to have an introduction as well. And that introduction should be your elevator pitch. And it should be something that you practice, that you're good at, and you kind of like stay on point every time you actually deliver it, whether it's in person, whether it's at a meeting where you have to introduce yourself. I've been on so many Zoom meetings and they call on everyone to introduce themselves. Well, I use my elevator pitch, who I am and what I do. And that is your brand. And I'm going to be coming back to you with another one of our 10-minute, which we're already over. We're in the 12 minutes. So maybe I'll make them 15 minutes. Who knows? But we're going to be talking about your brand, your personal brand, who you are and what you represent. And you got to think about your brand in so many levels and so many capacities, because you are a brand. There's no longer jobs that last for 20, 30 years. You retire, got a nice pension, and you go and, live your fun life. Jobs today are temporary. We all know that. They might as well call them temp jobs because they are not careers. You create a career by working for several different companies and getting experience and gaining a profile of your brand so that you are in demand for whatever skill set that you have. So, all right, kind of like gave you a bunch of tips. I'm going to be doing these pop-ups every now and then, especially when I get some really good information. I definitely push you guys getting the career skills that you need. If you don't have any technology skills, you don't know what the virtual world is about, you're not fluent in using Office 365 or Google Workspace, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. I just can't elaborate on how important it is to get skills and some type of credential behind your name so that you can get not only the job that you want, more importantly, the salary that you want. So there you have it. I'll see you next time.